Hello guys, welcome back to my Java tutorial series, and in this video I'm going to talk about all the mathematical operations that you can perform in Java, and also how to take user input So first we'll create a class variable for the operations. Operations. So we have an operations. So in this I'm going to talk about all the mathematical operations you can do. So first things first, we have actually class operations, then we open bracket, public static void main string yes. So now we have a format here. So all the operations that we can perform are addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. So first, as we have learned about variables and data types, we are going to take two integer values. Int num1 say equals to say 10, and int num2 equals to say 2. So now also one thing I forgot to mention about the system.out.println in the last episode, I'm going to mention here. So now say I want to do an addition operation of these two numbers, so I can put int add equal to num1 plus num2. So this value will store the addition of num1 and num2. So as I was saying, the one that I forgot to mention is in system.out.println, what we can do is we can do this actually. So now say you want to print the sum, but you don't want to print the sum in the next line, so you want to print sum right after that. Yeah. So then if you want to add, like you want to display something inside that value, you just add another plus operator here. Since we are wanting the sum, we'll put add here. So if you want to add anything here, you put sum, like you put whatever string you want to display plus add, so it will display that also. So just we'll compile it and run the code. Okay, the code is running and you can see sum is 12. So that's what I forgot to tell about in the system.out.println part in the last video. So we can do this, and so this is only one of the what do you say, one of the operations you can do. You can do addition, you can do subtraction, so that is num1 minus num2. So for subtraction you put the minus sign, then again, so let's say difference is equal to subs. So we can do like that. Then we can do multiplication. So for multiplication you have to put the star symbol. So you put the star symbol, it will do the multiplication. So if you put the star symbol is like the x symbol, x multiplication symbol in normal maths. So you're going to multiply num1 to num2, that is 20. Again, what do you say, yeah, display the product of it then. So that's that. And then we have int division. So you can perform division by putting the slash symbol. So if you have ever used a calculator before, like in the computer, you have the same star symbol and the slash symbol, and obviously if you have used it, you will know the star is the multiplication and slash is the division. If you don't know, the more you know. So I print the same thing. So let's say, I'm not sure actually, dividend. something like just want to display, so I just do that. So as you know what this does, so another operator that you can also use is the modulus operator. So what the modulus operator does is actually let me print this so I can show the modulus operator as a separate thing. So now you can see, okay, so this has been repeated as I said last class. Don't forget to clear your screen. Sum is equal to 12, difference is 8, product is 20, and dividend is 5, or whatever that is. So Control K to clear the screen. So now the another operation that I wanted to show is modulus. So we add the multi-line comment that we learned last class. So modulus is basically what it does is, so I have num1. So the modulus symbol is the percentage sign, num2. So basically what this does is it divides num1 by num2. It does the same operation as the division, but instead of returning the actual, like after dividing what number you get, it returns the remainder. So the modulus operator returns the remainder. So let's just do that. So if I compile it, okay, I'm having an error. Cannot find symbol variable 1. Yes. So have to remove that there and add it here. So now if I compile it, no error, run the program, and sum is 0. The reason why it's coming 0, because see, if you divide, I forgot to close that. If you divide 10 by 2, obviously the remainder you'll get 0. What you think you'll get 1. It's common sense. So that's how modulus operation works. So that's all the operations you can do. There are actually more operators that you can use, but as I continue explaining the other things about Java, I'll introduce those also. So compile this, then yeah, run it. It's not okay. The terminal is showing. Okay, so let's see. So basically, if you just do that, it will find that. Now comes to how to take the user input. Okay, so let's call it user input. And also one thing, if I just put user input, you can see that this BlueJ create new class is shouting at me. This is not a valid Java class name because you can't use space. You can't use the space. So for that, I'll put the underscore. Okay, so I just do the same thing. Use class user input, public static void main string args. Okay, so we have our code here. So now you want to take input from the user. So first, you have something called libraries in Java which you can import. So these libraries are tools that help us use Java and make Java programs more efficiently. So now I want to take user input. Okay, so I have to import a library which allows me to take user input. So to import any library, in case I can import any library, I must use the import keyword. You can see it's a keyword, that's why it's being highlighted. So now I will import java.util.scanner. So now I'm importing a library of scanner class. So scanner class is basically in the scanner class you can, so scanner class contains like a few functions. What are functions? I'll come to those in the later videos. So there are functions which you can call. So with those functions you can take user input. So if I want to take a user input, so first I have to define the user input. So it's going to be tough to explain. So first let me write it down. So scanner SE equals to new scanner system.in. So now what is this? This is a code that you have to write for like one step to take scanner input. So scanner is a class. Okay, so for scanner you're creating like you for now you can say like a storage area, but it's actually not a storage area. In the later video I'll actually explain about that. And you're creating this new scanner system.in. So basically what this is using with the SE I can get input from the user. So say system.out.println. So say I want them to enter two numbers. So let's say enter two numbers. Okay. Now how do you take input? Obviously you have to first store that input. So we'll take int num1, int num2. Now you can write it there, or you can just say num1 equals to. So now since SC is the storage area that is going to store all the input, like take all the input parameters. So SC is like using SC you can tell that this way that like you can get user like integer input or decimal point input, string input. So this SC defines that type of input. So int num1 I have to put SC dot next int. So just in short I can just write that down here. So sc dot next int. So this function, so int num1 and sc dot next int function. So you're telling that the input like the user that the input that the user is going to give is an integer value. So it depends. So here if it's int, so basically whatever data type you have here, the same data type has to be there after int. So say I'm taking a double value. It's saying it's allowing because there's one thing, the concept that I'm going to come to later. But usually usually if you have double, you have to take double input. So you have to say have this how whatever data type you have to have the same data type name here. And also always for like the data type, if you're taking like a double value, float value, so for double D has to be capital. So the data type's first letter has to always be capital. So next double, next int, next byte, next short, next long. Okay, so say I'm taking int num1 and say double num1 equals sc dot next double, and sc dot next int. Actually I can do this. So first we are going to take input parameters. So first we are going to take we'll take the main ones. So first I'll take an input, I'll take num, let's change that there. So integer, and this will have double value, then float num3 equals to sc dot next float. You can do it for the byte short int long, but now these are the main ones that are mostly used. So those are for numbers and decimal point numbers. Now if I want to take for characters and strings, so for string, so say string name. So for string I will put sc dot next. Now in the last class I told you that you have println and print, and in println is like it input, it gives like whatever you're asking it to print and goes to the next line, cursor goes to the next line, and for print it the cursor will stay there only. So the same thing you have for string, you have next and you have next line. So what next, so next line how it works is works same like println. So next line it will take your input, and the next input it will take in the like the cursor will go to the next line. After you've given your input, the cursor will go to the next line, but that won't happen if it's in next. So I mostly use line next line, so I'll put that. Now for char chr character, it's like you have this have to give this char, oh yeah, wait, sc dot next, then you have to give char at 0. Actually, I'm not much sure. Is it like this? It will show an error. It has to still show an error. Yeah. Cannot find symbol variable next. Okay. Okay, I'll just be back in a sec to check what it is. So it's sc dot next, open bracket, close bracket, dot caret, and this has to be so for taking character value, it's like a little different because the concept I'll tell about it later. So for char you have to take that. So now I will input all of that. So okay, num1, copy that line. So 1 2, so we have num2, num3, name, and we have chr. So now if I compile the code, all neat and beautiful, run the code. So now the code is running. Okay, for some reason the BlueJet terminal is not working. So I'll just be back in a sec. I'll check the issue and I'll come back. So I've resolved the issue. So basically I have to just reload the BlueJet editor. So now if I run it, it should come. Yes, it came. So first we had an integer value, so say 67. Then we had a double and a float, so it doesn't matter what type of values we give. So we have 6.7. Then it was a string, say core and C. Okay, so it was not asking for so let's do some other values, say love. So it is not, so it is printing love, but for some reason the terminal is not displaying, and it's also taking the first letter. So that's one way you can actually take input from the user. So now since we have learned how to use mathematical operators and user input, we are going to create a program to understand the whole thing properly, in which it will take the user input two values and it will find the sum, the difference, the product, and the dividend of it, including the remainder. So let's say input operation. So I do that, then do the okay, do the normal thing. So we have that there. So now we are going to ask the user for two numbers. So since you can input anything and I don't want it to just show the like summed up. Like when you're dividing, I want it to show all the decimal values also. So first we will create this, like the input storage. So scanner is equals to new scanner. Actually, you don't need to put it SC. You can put anything you want, but then like in the previous example, instead of SC you have to replace it with input. So you can see that here. So, and yes, why is it showing error? Because I have not imported the scanner library. Java.util.scanner. Okay, so now I will just ask print out for the user to give me two numbers. So I will take two values, double num1 equals to sc dot, like I said, next, and whatever data type. For string, line, and for character it is sc dot next, open bracket, close bracket, dot char at 0. So sc dot next, since it's double, it will be capital B, capital D, double, and then we'll just copy the same line of code and do the same for num underscore 2. Yes, now like I told, it's showing an error. Actually, if I compile it, yeah, it's showing an error because sc symbol not found. Instead we have put input, so I have to write input here. So it's, if you're depending on what you're writing here, you have to write the same here. So input. So let's make all the variables like all the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division values being stored as double. So say double add equals to, like we did in the previous one. Okay, I forgot the underscore. So I just copy that and change the, yeah, it's showing error because you're having, like, dude, you're having so many variables, you can only declare it once, is what the compiler is saying. So addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and modulus. So num1 plus num2, this will be minus, this will be multiplication, this will be division, and this will be the modulus. So now we have all that. All we have to do is, and also one thing you can also do is, I'll just show it to you, ln. So I can, instead of telling like addition equals to this, I can just write the operator. So num1, you can also do it this way, so plus, and then you can add the plus symbol, plus num2 plus, then equal to, then you can add this and add. So now if you compile it, it will show no error. So you can do this, you can, it will display what's there in num1, it will then do plus, then what's there in num2, then equal to symbol, and what's there in add. So I can just copy and paste this 4 more times. That's done. So I have to just change the values here, and so multiplication, division, again modulus, and also I have to change these values, subs, mult, div, and mod, and also don't forget these. So I compile my code and run it. Now it's beautiful. So void main string args. Oh yes, let's and also one thing, enter two numbers. Okay, say I just input something wrong, I say hi. Oh my god. So basically input mismatch exception. So basically, hey man, you gave the wrong input, okay, so don't do that again. So that's why it's highlighting, since it's just asking num1 and it's asking only for a decimal point number. It can also take integer points and it will consider as a decimal with adding a point 0. So if you add integer also, it doesn't shout at you. So I can do that. And also, yeah, that's it. And I won't forget to clear this. I did that error to show you that and also clear the screen. So enter two numbers. Say 1. See, now I inputted an integer, but it's still accepting that. So in the next video, I'll be explaining that. So say 2. So 1.0 plus 2.0, like I told, if it's you're giving integer, it will just add a point 0. So 1.0, 2.03, 1 minus 1.0, 2.0, 0.5, and 1.0. So now I will do that with a few decimals. Okay, that's there. So say 2 point, actually say 8.9, because the like subtraction has to be correct. So and modulus, you get the remainder as this. Now that might look a little weird, but that's fine. Don't forget to clear your screen. So that's all of it. And so in the next video, I'm going to talk about something called implicit and explicit conversion, and also I'm going to start over the if statement. So I'm going to be explaining about implicit and explicit conversion, if else statement, and also operator precedence. So I'm going to be talking about those three in the next video. So thanks for watching, guys. Peace out.